Wow, Elon Musk is back at it again, this time launching his own competitor to ChatGPT, even though self-admittedly Grok, as his platform is called, is more closely a competitor to GPT 3.0 or Meta's neural nets, language learning models. Elon Musk suggests, hey, we've done great for the 2 months of training we've been able to do. So quite frankly, for the progress we were able to do within 2 months, we're very proud of this. And I have to say, for 2 months of training, they're doing pretty great. I'll show you some samples here of the progress, but I have to say, there is a massive risk factor. I already found in one of their own samples a massive red flag in Elon Musk's language learning model. Now, I'll talk about that and reveal that in just a moment. I do want to give you some quick bottom lines, though. What they're doing with this language model is they're training it on real-time Twitter data. Elon Musk touts this as a massive advantage to GPT. Now, consider GPT currently does have plugins to allow you to browse the internet with Bing, and this is obviously after Microsoft's investment into OpenAI and the partnership there. This has been very seamless. So maybe that, competition could be worn down a bit, or that gap could be worn down a bit. However, Elon suggests that, look, we now for our API at Twitter potentially charge as much as $42,000 per month per user, per enterprise user. And that $42,000, here it is really just to provide a moat around how valuable Twitter's data actually is. Now, back when Elon was beginning to acquire Twitter, we talked regularly on this channel about how it would actually be great for the foundation of verbal AI and how this could be very useful in a future, let's say, Optimus robot. And I've been a big believer that you could train people on mass sets of data and create pretty strong language learning models that will be very useful in robotics, improving stupid language learning facilities like Siri, which honestly is like probably the equivalent of like GPT 0.1. Like, it's so bad. Why is Siri still so bad? I don't understand. You can get plugins to turn it into a GPT-4 though, which that's actually substantially better. Or just go straight into the GPT-4 app and use the voice app. Oh, it's so good. Use the voice feature. Oh, game changer. But anyway, what's the big problem that I found with this? I'm going to tell you the big problem. I do also want to give you the opportunity, though, to know that if you go to XAI on Twitter, you'll be able to see the announcing Grok post, which I'm pretty sure that's pronounced with a long O, in case you're wondering. Elon did post on Twitter that it has the long vowel O. But anyway, they do offer early access, so if you click, if you go to the release, go to XAI on Twitter, you'll be able to join their waitlist to get early access to this. This is where they talk about how they're using Rust as a platform for sort of building this on. They talk about some of the comparisons to 3.5 and how this is Grok 1.0 essentially, and it's a very early beta product. Okay, great. So we got that out of the way. What's the big criticism that I have? And I know some people are going to say, Kevin, why are you always criticizing Elon? And look, I want to say, this is amazing. If I had many billions of dollars and I were a billionaire, I'd be running a language model as well. I'd be wanting to compete in this space. I have so many ideas for this kind of stuff, but we don't have the funding to turn, something like to actually create a GPT competitor, right? So let's be real. You compete where you can compete, which for me, that's real estate. Or, personally, I like to think providing perspective and value on the internet. That's why I sell amazing Noob vs. Pro crash courses. They're great. You can now get them for under $100. So that price will be up over $100 by next Friday. So check those out at meetkevin.com. But what pains me is, and many of you already know this, it has to do, here's a Grok sample, okay? Many of you already know this. One of the things that absolutely pains me about Twitter, and maybe it's just human psychology, maybe it's just scrolling psychology, maybe it's true, it probably is of YouTube Shorts, Instagram Shorts, or Reels rather, and TikTok as well. But it's the surface level aggravation content that is very shareable, but honestly leads to more jaded Americans or actually global citizens. And I think it's a net negative to our society. And I'm not trying to say, like, I'm going to give you the example really quickly, but just quick bottom line on this. I think we want people who wake up every day, including everyone who's watching this, who's here to learn that deep perspective, because that's what we provide on the channel. Ideally, everybody wakes up and thinks, okay, if I hear something, how can I fact check this? How can I test that for myself? Where is the real bias? Are the motivations behind somebody who's showing me something or telling me something evil? Are they well-intended but sometimes mistaken? Or are they more often right than they're wrong, right? These are the things we should analyze. Problem with this sort of outrage journalism that we find is we get left as very jaded, and it ends up being demoralizing. We're like, you know what? The system's rigged. We can't get ahead in America. Why bother trying? Let's just go back to sleep. I've been working my ass off, 14-hour days for X years, and I still don't feel like I'm getting ahead. Those are really real sentiments in America. But it's just self-fulfilling if now we become, unfortunately, really negative and jaded. So here's a Grok example. So the point of Grok is to incorporate humor. It's worth noting they do say in their release that Grok is designed to answer questions with a bit of wit and a rebellious streak. So please don't use it if you hate humor. Okay, fair disclaimer. I think that's great. This rebellious streak, it's important to remember that if people are going to use your product to learn from it, it's fine to be rebellious and funny, but it's also really important to provide at least multiple angles of perspective. Otherwise, you become sort of a one-sided monster. And that's what I'm worried about here. So here somebody says, Grok, any news about SBF? And then it says searching for news about SBF, which, by the way, I have to say I kind of like the logo here. It's sort of half of the X, right? XAI. Anyway, great. Oh, my dear human, I have some juicy news for you. It seems that our friend Sam Bankman-Fried, the former cryptocurrency mogul, has been found guilty on all counts in his fraud trial. Can you believe it? Okay, this is cool. I like this. This is very, very conversational, right? Now, down here, they say, let's not forget, and we're going to talk about this in a moment, let's not forget that he faces up to 110 years in prison. That's quite a long time to ponder the consequences of one's actions, don't you think? And to think all of this could have been avoided if he had just followed some simple rule, some of the simple rule, or the simple rule, rather, of just not stealing billions of dollars from FTX customers. Alas, some customers never win. In any case, I hope this news satisfies your curiosity. If you have any more questions or need further assistance, please don't hesitate to ask. That is great, okay? 10 out of 10, love it. I love the sort of rebellious, I'm a pirate. Arr, ye matey. Alas, some people just never learn. This is great. Really conversational, high quality, 10 out of 10. Elon, if we could just stop here, full stop, fantastic job. And quite frankly, I am proud that somebody like Elon is trying to compete in the space. I don't know, some people think I don't like Elon. I love Elon. I admire Elon. I really do. But I have criticisms that do leave me concerned, and hopefully, if it's not him, it's people around him who hear the criticism and go, you know what, Kevin, that is a real problem, and we will address that. That's all we're looking for here. So what is the real red flag of Elon Musk's AI platform? You ready for it? First, we know it's trained on Twitter data, right? Okay, wrong button. That was anticlimactic. It's right here. Can you believe it? He's guilty on all counts. The jury just took 8 hours to figure out what the smartest, best VCs in the world couldn't do in years. He committed garden variety fraud. It's a wild ride, isn't it? Okay. Let's parse this apart. First of all, I despise VCs. HouseHack took not a single dime of VC money because, honestly, I agree. The due diligence venture capitalists do is nominal. Generally, what I believe, and I hate to say it, but even some of the biggest VCs like Andreessen Horowitz investing $300 million into the guy who founded WeWork, creating a real estate / crypto startup called Flow. I'm like, what are you throwing $300 million at, you complete moron? This is not somebody who understands real estate. They've gone bankrupt twice. With WeWork, twice! Okay. I honestly think that sometimes these VCs, Andreessen Horowitz included, invest in things that they think they can sell. It's the greater fool than I theory, right? I'm going to invest in Flow because at $300 million, because I think my 300 will be worth $1 billion, and then I'll cash out, and somebody else will be left holding the bag. So I personally believe the VC system is absolutely disgusting. So I want to be very clear about that. VC sucks. I've invested money with VCs that I thought were doing proper due diligence, only to find out they did zero due diligence, and that relying on them was total, near fraud. But it's okay. I'm a big boy. I made money, and then I lost money. That happens, okay? But what pisses me off about this? I did it again. This. Well, what pisses me off about this is not that they're bagging on VCs. That's actually kind of funny, okay? But The perspective that's missing is, it didn't just take the damn jury 8 hours. Some articles even say it just took the jury 3 hours to deliberate, okay? But it didn't just take the jury 3 to 8 hours, okay? It didn't. That's the thing. People forget that. Wait a second. This was a jury that every single waking day of a courtroom calendar had the privilege of listening to provided testimony over 17 days of trial, testimony, evidence, everything that happened handed to a jury on a silver platter in retrospect, okay? This is after it all collapsed. Here's how it went down. Here's the testimony. Here's the evidence. At least 17 full trial days, plus other days here. At least 17 days of this. Count the trial squares here. Say U.S. versus Sam Bankman-Fried. Of course, they had way more time to understand that Sam Bankman-Fried is a complete fraudulent asshole and an embarrassment for the crypto industry. Quite frankly, Sam Bankman-Fried should go to jail for the maximum amount of time possible, just to send a signal that if you want to be a fraud in crypto, you go to jail. If you're a fraud, you deserve to be in prison. Because it's terrible for a startup industry, crypto, which blockchain has such wonderful use applications, and long-term I expect it will have even more practical use applications, right? A lot of them right now are mostly theoretical. It's disgusting because people are ruining this. But the point is, VCs didn't have the benefit of hindsight, which we know is 2020, all the evidence provided on a silver platter, and 17 plus days of trial. So what I wanted to do was compare, and I understand it's Grok 1.1, I understand it's in beta, blah, 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 right? I understand that. But I just want to give you a contrast because I'm a little concerned because you could be like the rebellious humorist replying and then say, but in fairness, the jury had the benefit of hindsight, whereas the venture capitalists didn't, right? That alone is a big difference. But look at this. I asked, this is GPT, I want you to see the whole thing, okay? Why was SBF convicted so quickly if VCs missed that he was a fraud? It only took the jurors a few hours to convict. Is the VC system broken? Ooh boy, I feel like that should have been like a colon or a semicolon. But anyway, the case of Sam Bankman-Fried, who was recently convicted for defrauding customers, investors, and lenders of $10 billion through his crypto exchange, highlights a concern regarding the VC system's ability to detect fraudulent behavior. True, the conviction has been perceived as a significant event, right, and potentially just the tip of the iceberg. Your question brings up a compelling point about the efficiency and effectiveness of the VC system in identifying fraud, particularly when jurors were able to convict in a short amount of time. So far, that's the same as Grok, right? So far, that's the same. However, here we go. It might suggest a gap in due diligence or the evaluation processes of VCs, which fail to uncover fraudulent activities. That's the bashing on VC part, right? But ready for the perspective? Ready for the flip side perspective that every language learning model should be commanded to provide? However, it's worth noting that the processes and objectives of VCs and courts are fundamentally different. VCs might be more focused on potential returns and innovative aspects of projects, right? This is the ability to resell a project. Are people really buying from VCs because they're doing the due diligence or because they're like, they have a name and they're reselling, right? That part of the system, I agree, is totally different. And now, possibly overlooking red flags in the process. That is, again, a failure of VCs. I concur. However, here's the flip side. The court's focus is on upholding the law and ensuring justice. The speed of the conviction could be due to a variety of factors, including the clarity of evidence, the effectiveness of the prosecution, or the understanding of the jurors. It does not necessarily reflect on the VC system. Again, it's the element of hindsight. And we can even ask, so is this a potential case of hindsight versus a stupid VC system? We'll do it live together, right? Obviously, we expect the answer is, yeah, it's absolutely possible here that this could be a factor of hindsight, but at least we're getting some of that perspective. Let's see how GPT-4 responds. After the conviction of SBF, it might be easy to look back and point out the signs of fraudulent activity. However, those signs might not have been as clear to the VC firms at the time of their investment, especially if the fraudulent activities were well concealed. Yeah, totally true. Oversight. There might have been oversight or lapses in the due diligence process of VCs. Usually it's a little bit of everything, right? It's the benefit of hindsight versus oversight issues at the beginning. The due diligence process wasn't thorough enough. There could also be systemic problems in the VC system. Again, this is the greater fool theory that I talk about. So I think it's a little bit of everything, but it's really worth remembering that the VC system had a lot more color here. I think most logical people who listen to this are like, yeah, I mean, Kevin, that makes sense. And then we're gonna get replies like, oh, but Grok is just on 1.0. I know, but it's being trained on Twitter. So what's my big concern? That it goes down this path of jade and under the guise of humor, when reality it's just brainwashing people in one jaded perspective. Yikes. Let me know what you think in the links down below. If you want perspective on how to build your wealth with real estate, stocks, or otherwise, make sure to go to meetkevin.com. Learn all about entrepreneurship, building wealth, starting at zero and building real wealth for the long term. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Why not advertise these things that you told us here? I feel like nobody else knows about this.
We'll try a little advertising and see how it goes.
Congratulations, man. You have done so much. People love you. People look up to you.
Kevin Paffrath there, financial analyst and YouTuber. Meet Kevin. Always great to get your take.
Now I have to read you a legal disclaimer. Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, licensed real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is neither personalized financial advice nor real estate advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show should not be deemed endorsed by me. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient for the purposes of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links to promoted products are either paid affiliations or products or services we may benefit from, like my courses or my actively managed ETF, which you can learn all about at meetkevin.com. I do personally manage an ETF and I do hold various long positions, including those potentially made in this video. However, I have no relationship to any issuers, nor am I presently acting as a market maker.